High atop the frozen peaks of Mount Kailash, where the air is thin and the stars feel close enough to touch, lived Lord Shiva. He sat in a silence so deep that he could hear the heartbeat of the world. The mountains stood like white giants around him, guarding his peace. Not far away, a small mountain squirrel named Karun twitched his nose. Karun was a curious creature who spent his days gathering juniper berries. He often watched the great yogi, wondering what a god heard when he closed his eyes for 1,000 years. One afternoon, Shiva's eyes fluttered open. He did not look at the sun or the eagles soaring above. He tilted his head, catching a sound that was thinner than a spider's silk. It was a tiny, jagged sob, vibrating through the very ground beneath him. Shiva rose from his seat. His movements were fluid, like water flowing over glass. He began to walk down the winding mountain paths, ignoring the roar of the great waterfalls and the whistling of the wind. He was following a trail of sorrow that only he could perceive. He stopped at a bend in the road where the earth was dry and dusty. There, half buried under the weight of many passing footsteps, lay a small, unremarkable gray stone. To anyone else, it was just a pebble. But to Shiva, it was the source of a great loneliness. Shiva picked up the stone and held it in his palm. He brushed away the grit and the grime with his thumb. He brought the stone close to his ear, listening to the story of 1,000,000 years spent being stepped on, kicked, and ignored. As Shiva listened, a shimmering light began to rise from the pebble. It took the form of a small, ethereal girl named Sila. She was the spirit of the stone, her face wet with tears. "I am too small to be a mountain," she whispered, "and too hard to be a flower. I am nothing." Shiva did not tell her she was wrong. Instead, he began to hum. It was a low, resonant sound that carried the weight of the earth and the heat of the sun. He sang a song of the deep places where diamonds are born and the ancient roots of the world. Karun the squirrel watched from behind a rock, his eyes wide with wonder. He saw the dull gray stone in Shiva's hand begin to glow with a brilliant, golden inner fire. The more Shiva sang, the brighter Sila shone, until she sparkled like a fallen star. Shiva placed the glowing stone atop a high pedestal of ice. Sila was no longer a forgotten pebble. She was a beacon for lost travelers. Shiva returned to his meditation, knowing that in the silence of the universe, there is no voice too small to be heard.